Hello and welcome to all my dear friends. As thumbnail says, today's topic is methods of preparation, physical properties and chemical properties of halogen derivatives. But before going to that question, first we need to understand why reaction takes place, how reaction takes place, what are the parameters, what are the factors which affect the reaction. Because when we react two chemicals, we get a certain product, but sometimes we get, sometimes we do not get it. So what are the factors? That is a very, very important thing. So we'll understand that whole thing with an example. Suppose I am having here ethyl alcohol with potassium chloride gives ethyl chloride and potassium hydroxide. Here ethyl chloride with potassium hydroxide gives us ethyl alcohol plus potassium chloride. If we'll see these two reactions, here what is the first part, that is the product here, and vice versa. So out of these two, one is a wrong reaction. Okay, so can you tell me which one of them is wrong? So I am just pretending you are answering me. So we cannot answer because we do not have all the data. Okay, you do not have all the data required to answer that particular question. If you have, it's a very good thing, but I am just considering that you don't know the reactions, because this is the part we are going to understand in chemical properties of halogen derivatives. So before understanding it, we'll take an example, general daily life example. Okay, suppose I'm having milk, everybody knows it, and lemon juice which contains citric acid. If you add milk or lukewarm milk with lemon juice, after a certain period of time, around like 10 to 12 hours, we will get curd and our traces of water, very small amount of water. But ultimately, milk plus lemon juice can bring us curd. But if we reverse the reaction, like curd plus water with a warm condition, can I get milk and lemon juice? No, for sure it's a no, because we are used to these kind of reactions. We are used to these kind of chemical processes because these are the daily routine processes. Every chemical we know for sure, and that's why we know the properties of that particular compound. As we know milk's property, curd's property, water, lemon juice, what are the tastes and every damn thing. Look, everything we know. But here if you go, we do not know a bit, because all the chemicals, most of the chemicals are transparent, like water, that we cannot taste every damn time. We just have to rely on some factors. So here this is wrong reaction, and here this is wrong reaction. Okay, so these two reactions are right, and now we have to understand what are the factors that affect and which give the correct product to us. So suppose I am taking a product CH3, CH2, and suppose that we have to form Cl. So to get this compound as a product, what chemicals we can use? That is the way to understand it. Now why reaction takes place? The basic answer of reaction taking place is stability. Suppose I am offering you a deal. In that particular deal, suppose I am paying you 50,000 rupees per month, and some other agency is paying you 70,000 rupees per month, and a third party is paying you 1 lakh rupees per month for the same work. So definitely you'll go for the 1 lakh rupees payment, because that gives you more stability. That's the rule. That's the, what you can say, thumb rule. That's the basic rule. When whatever product is going to form, if that product is more stable, then that particular reaction takes place. Otherwise we do not get any kind of reaction. So which are the factors that affects the reaction? So the first factor is inductive or resonance effect, electrophilic or nucleophilic properties. Electronegativities. Energies. So there are many factors. out of which if you'll understand these factors, then you'll get the required product. Then you'll get the required answer to your question that why and how reaction takes place. The whole answers are given in the basics of chemistry, which is given in the description link. You will get the description link and you can watch all the basic terminology used in the reaction mechanism, or all the effects, inductive and electrophilic, and what exactly the meaning of it, how fluorine is highest electronegative, how oxygen comes afterwards, and the remaining halogens are after oxygen only. So it is very simple for an oxygen to replace the remaining halogen like chlorine, bromine, iodine, but oxygen cannot replace fluorine very easily because fluorine is more electronegative. All the answers what I'm trying to say you'll get in that particular video. So first watch that video and then continue for the reaction, that is methods of preparation of halogen derivatives. So what is the actually method of preparation of halogen derivatives? Now we'll start learning that. Now what is halogen derivative first? The same answer. When you replace hydrogen by halogen, you'll get the halogen derivative. So now for example, I am taking here one hydrogen is replaced by one halogen and that halogen is chlorine. So here the product what I am expecting is CH3CH2Cl. So there is a term called retrosynthesis, HCHH, H and Cl. This I want. Okay, so from what reactant I can get this? So search the nearby reactants which is very close to CH3CH2Cl. So for that you can break it, you can rearrange it, you can do a number of things whatever you feel comfortable. So first thing what I am doing, I am breaking the bond from this end. Okay, and here I will take one H and here I will take one Cl. I'm just taking it. Why it is so? What is in my mind? If I'll take H here, the H will be positive, the remaining part must be negative. Okay, and here if I'm taking Cl with Cl, so out of these two, one of the Cl we have to make by using Lewis acid as delta positive and delta negative and do the reaction accordingly. So that's the next part. But here what we conclude, what we can say, if I'll just break it, I'll get CH3 bond CH3 with Cl2, I can work it out, I can do something. That's my one way. Or second, if you see, obviously my product is same. Sorry, here Cl, my product is same. Now suppose again I'll break it. So can I rearrange it? Can I get it out of by another way? So suppose I'll take an unsaturated system here. So this bond comes here and this H can go with Cl. I'm doing retro. Retro means what you can say reverse. I'm reversing it. So what I can get H, C, H, double bond, C, H and H. So this CH2 with that HCl, you can get the product. Okay, so what I'm trying to teach you, I know this is what you can say beyond your scope of syllabus, but what I'm trying to teach you, obviously that is not in your book. I'm trying to make you understand how to think to reach to the reaction. Why I'm saying this? Because see, for you, C, H, Cl, whatever, O, Br, all are just what you can say representation of an element. That's all. You don't know much about that particular element. And what you are doing, you are just believing what teachers or book is saying to you. But if you think in that way, that becomes very simple to understand the reaction. Why I'm saying though so? Because in your syllabus there are 126 around reactions. All the reactions if you see, if you can divide in two categories. One, name reaction. Second, just a basic principle following reactions where good nucleophile replaces the bad nucleophile, condition matters, if you increase the temperature, decrease the temperature, result vary. So these are the basic reactions, but remaining reactions are just the name reaction. You do not need to go in the details of those kind of reactions. So that's why I'm telling you, if you'll get to know the trick, why it is happening, what are the valences of the elements, how to stabilize it, how to balance it, then the reaction become very simple to understand. I'm not saying you can do every damn time. It is a smaller product, that's why you can think in this way. But if you have a bigger product, so I doubt that you can understand to that bigger extent reaction on your own. So basically what I'm saying, if you see the reaction, you need to understand, you need to remember. Now, see this. Here, CH3 is there. I am adding Cl2, what is happening? 1H from this, 1Cl from this will get HCl as the byproduct. What is the byproduct here? Here you will get HCl as the byproduct and CH3, CH2, Cl as the main product. So 1H from this CH3 and 1Cl from this will get HCl. Okay, here free radical mechanism takes this. If you go this CH goes to this CH2 and this Cl goes to remaining C, or vice versa, you can do whatever it may be. So this is the addition reaction example. Whole HCl is getting merged in this CH2 double bond CH2 and we are getting the same product once again. Come to this point. This is a bit tricky. Here, this OH is good nucleophile. What is nucleophile? Good nucleophile. Again, go to the video given in the description link. OH is a good nucleophile. To make it bad, what you have to do? We have to add some extra catalyst. You have to make a bad nucleophile. तो अब इस चीज को समझने के लिए हम क्या एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं? मान लो CH3 CH2 का और OH का बहुत स्ट्रांग दोस्ती है. ओके, अब इन दोनों के बीच में दरार डालनी है. ओके, और इस Cl ने ठान लिया है कि CH3 CH2 के साथ दोस्ती करना ही करना है. तो उस केस में क्या हो सकता है? अगर मान लो HCl ने उसके दोस्तों की मदद ली, थोड़ा उनके बीच में झगड़ा लगाया या फिर आग लगाई, व्हाटएवर, यू कैन यूज हीट एज आग, तो आग लगाया, तो क्या हो सकता है कि यहाँ पे इन दोनों के बीच में थोड़ा तनाव हो सकता है, उसका यूज कर सकता है Cl, और यहाँ पे क्या आ सकता है? Cl CH2 के साथ जुड़ सकता है. तो जस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, बिकॉज इनकी दोनों का दोस्ती बहुत अच्छा, तो क्या करना होगा? पहले उस दोस्ती को ब्रेक करना होगा. एग्जैक्टली हम वही कर रहे हैं यहाँ पे, बाय यूजिंग अ बैड nucleophile to replace a good nucleophile. So here exactly same thing happens and ये OH हट जाता है और Cl उसकी जगह आ जाता है और हमें वाटर यहाँ पे बाई प्रोडक्ट मिलेगा. वाटर हर बार प्रोडक्ट कौन है? CH3 CH2 Cl. बाई प्रोडक्ट सिर्फ लिख रहा हूं मैं, ठीक है. नाउ कम टू दिस पॉइंट, CH3 CH2 OH प्लस PCl3. अब ये रिएक्शन फिर से स्पेसिफिक रिएक्शन है फॉस्फोरस ट्राइक्लोराइड के. अगर इस रिएक्शन को आपको पूरी तरह से करना है तो यहाँ पे 3 टाइम्स लेना होगा. जब यहाँ पे आप 3 टाइम्स लेंगे तो यहाँ पे प्रोडक्ट भी 3 टाइम्स बनेगा आपको. ओके, जस्ट एवरी टाइम अगर आप यहाँ पे CH3 CH2 CH2 ले लो या C4H9 ले लो और व्हाट एवर इट मे बी, आइसो ले लीजिए, नियो ले लीजिए, टर्शियरी ले लीजिए, व्हाट एवर इट मे बी, अगर आपने ये यूज कर लिया है सिस्टम तो यहाँ पे हर बार OH रिप्लेस होगा Cl से. एक खत्म बात, हर बार. ओके, तो ये PCl3 का स्पेसिफिक रिएक्शन है और उसके प्रोडक्ट बाय प्रोडक्ट क्या हो जाएंगे? HCl और POCl3, ये बाई प्रोडक्ट हो जाएंगे हर बारी. ध्यान रखिए इस बात को. अल्काइल कैन चेंज बट OH is going to replaced by Cl every damn time. Okay, so CH3 CH2 OH, again a specific reaction of SOCl2. Here also OH is going to replaced by Cl and we are getting CH3 CH2 Cl as a product. And what are the byproduct? SO2 with HCl gas. These are the two byproducts. Again, if SOCl2 comes in the picture, it is going to replace OH by Cl every time. Go for the same. Here also the same thing happens. Again, OH is going to be replaced by one of the Cl and the product is obviously CH3 CH2 Cl plus POCl3 plus HCl. Okay. So here I made a mistake. It cannot be POCl3. Here it becomes POH thrice. Sorry, that was a mistake. Please make it correct. It becomes POH thrice, or you can call the same product H3PO3. I merged these two products. So here now I am damn sure the byproduct is H3PO3 and here POCl3 with HCl as the byproduct. And every time what we got the main product as ethyl chloride. So if I'll change here CH3 CH2 by what you can say isopropyl group or secondary butyl group, no problem. OH is going to replaced by Cl, that's all. And the remaining byproduct is also same. Remaining skeleton of carbon also same. So remember that, and these are the examples. Now next question comes in mind. What happens if you change Cl by Br? Now whole scenario changes. You cannot use one criteria to the another one. Why? If atom changes, its size changes, its electronegativity changes, its tendency to react changes, its polarity changes, its shading effect changes, its atomic radius changes. So basically the parameter changes. You cannot use one parameter to the another parameter, but somehow if you just change the conditioning, you will get the same result. If you use Br2 and if you change here, the whole required catalyst by AlBr3, you'll get the product. Obviously CH3 CH2 Br. If you'll change here HCl to HBr, you'll directly get the product. So I'm not telling, or I'm not teaching you every time you have to, or you can say you cannot get the product by using the same kind of way, but it is not a compulsion that you can say just use Br2 and you can use UV light and you'll get the CH3 CH2 Br. No, that is not going to happen. So basically it is just just to get an idea what exactly reactions and methods of preparation are there. Here we have to replace a good nucleophile by a bad nucleophile. That's why the specific reactions are there. After this, we have Markovnikov's rule, peroxide effect, Finkelstein reaction, Swartz reaction, Sandmer's reaction. So there are so many reactions. I'm not trying to teach you whatever present in the book. I'm trying to make you understand how to understand what is written in the book. Because once again, I'm repeating, for you, carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, halogens, or whatever may be the element, these are just the element. If you think in a proper way, by using this 10 to 12 elements, you can understand whole organic chemistry. Or the second statement is, in these 10 to 12 elements, you have the whole subject. Okay, so if you know the elements properly, you can understand the whole concept very easily. So this is all about the methods of preparation. You can go and learn what is Markovnikov's rule, the negative part of the reagent added to that carbon from the double bonded system which has less number of hydrogen atoms. So these are the definitions you can see and learn and understand also very easily. So this is all about the methods of preparation. If you can use Br, you can use I, no problem. For your syllabus, there is no fluorination reaction because that becomes an explosive reaction. So that's all about the methods of preparation of halogen derivatives. If you still have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you. Now we'll see the next part, that is physical properties and the chemical properties. Now, physical properties of halogen derivatives, specifically alkyl halides. So what is the meaning of physical properties? How they behave physically without any using chemical changes, just physical, like temperature changes, environmental changes. So how exactly they behave, chemicals, that is physical properties. So if you see here, boiling point of those alkyl halides depends on the polarity and size of the halogen atom. Bigger the size of halogen atom, higher the boiling point. Simple logic. Bigger the size, higher the boiling point. Now for this, if I'm using the same halogen, if I have fixed for chlorine suppose, then boiling point depends on the number of carbon atoms. More the number of carbon atoms, for example CH3 CH2Cl, one compound, CH3 CH2 CH2Cl another. If you use C4H9Cl another, in that C4H9, if you are using isomeric compound like tertiary, secondary, isobutyl chloride, so for that different. But now if you are having 2 carbon containing system and 4 carbon containing system, then 4 carbon containing halogen derivative will have the higher boiling point. Alkyl halide will have the higher boiling point. Now bond length, obviously bond length is inversely proportional to bond strength. As I said here, if I am having CH3F and CH3I, I is a bigger atom. So if bigger atom means more number of shells means to attract the attract the electron of iodine, electron of carbon to iodine, it takes a very long distance. So bond length ultimately increases, and if bond length increases, bond strength decreases. If attraction is weak, strength is also weak. If distance is big, strength is weak. Simple. If distance is big, strength is weak. That's the example. Now boiling point decreases with increase in branches. As I said here, if a compound is there having 4 carbons, so from that 4 carbon compound I can form tertiary butyl chloride, I can form isobutyl chloride, I can form secondary butyl chloride, I can form N-butyl chloride. So for all those alkyl halides, we are having different boiling points. So bigger the chain means lesser the branching, higher the boiling point. So for N-butyl chloride, we have the highest boiling point among all the isomers of butyl chloride. So that's it. So this is there are so many physical properties, we cannot stop here. This is only for alkyl halides. If you merge this thing with aromatic derivatives of halogen, then it becomes much more complicated. But for now, these are the 4 very important physical properties of halogen derivatives of alkane, specifically alkyl halides for your syllabus. So that's all about the physical properties. Now the simplest part of the chapter, that is chemical properties. For this particular chapter, chemical properties becomes very simple, because here what we have to do, we have to add good nucleophile to the system, because Cl is the bad nucleophile system, or halogens are the bad nucleophile itself. Basically there are 4 kinds of reaction: addition reaction, elimination reaction, substitution reaction, and rearrangement reaction. So the whole reaction comes under the part of substitution reaction. Means what? One element is going to substituted by the another one. Very simple. So in this process, as OH is good nucleophile as compared to Cl, OH will replace Cl. Simple. R dash will replace Cl. Why? Because Cl is bad nucleophile. If Br you are taking, that is worse nucleophile, more bad nucleophile. Again, the level of badness is higher in the as size increases, because as size increases, the bond length increases and ultimately strength decreases. If strength is weaker, it is very easy to replace that particular kind of element. Here we have to do only simple thing. We have to find the positive and the negative polarities in every chemical. So you can see here, if you see this, here Cl is negative part, obviously remaining is positive part. Here K is positive part and OH is the negative part. Now just switch it. The negative part of the reagent adds to the positive part of the reactant. That's all. So OH gets added to CH2 and you'll get here CH3CH2OH plus KCl. That's all. Just switch it, whatever it may be. Same goes for this also. Cl is negative. Now every time Cl is negative, this remaining part is positive. Accordingly, positive, negative. Positive, the whole thing is negative. This is positive, delta, this is remaining part is negative. This is clear positive, this is clear negative. Why it is clear positive? Why I'm writing this delta positive and this as only positive? Because this is, what you can say, cation, it is, this bond is between carbon and halogen is not clear-cut polar bond. Okay, and here K with OH, it is the clear polar bond. So that's why. So here, what is that? Negative. The whole thing is positive. Positive, negative, positive, and negative. This bond is formed due to the sharing effect. Okay, and here there is no sharing effect. There is directly positive charge and the negative charge. They are just attracted towards each other. Okay, so these are ionic bond. Simple. This is ionic bond. And this is bond formed by the sharing. So that's why this is delta positive. Okay. So every time what is happening? CH3CH2 OR dash NaCl O C double bond O R AgCl. It is NH2 H with Cl. Now you try. Whatever CH3CH2 goes with ONO and K goes with Cl. O N double bond O and KCl. It is called potassium nitrite. Okay, it is potassium cyanide. Same happens here also. KCl and this Cn goes, cyanide part goes to CH2CH2Cl. Now here there is a very small twist. Instead of getting Cn, you will get Nc. And AgCl is as it is. Why we are getting Nc? Because Ag and C has a very strong bonding. Okay, so this Ag will not lose bond, though it is an ionic bond. Still, it will not lose the bonding. So ultimately, N has to attack from the backside and Cl goes to AgCl. So reverse effect happens and N gets bonded to C. So this is the product. So it is called as isocyanide. Okay, it is called as isocyanide. It is called as cyanide. So the name is alkyl cyanide and alkyl isocyanide. That's it. Here specifically ethyl cyanide and ethyl isocyanide. So these are the names. So this is just the end of the chemical property, that's all. Why? Because it is very simple part. We have to just replace. OH is good nucleophile. In the previous example for methods of preparation, we have to do a lot of efforts. PCl3 used, PCl5, SOCl2. If you are using HCl, then we have to add ZnCl2. We have to tremendously heat it depending on primary or secondary or tertiary alcohol what you are using. So that complication was there, but here we do not have any kind of complication. So what you have to remember basically in the reaction part, why reaction takes place. Okay, reaction takes place for the stability purpose. If whatever the product is going to form are more stable, then reaction takes place. Here you can see CH3CH2OH is more stable. Definitely you can say that because this is forming, and OH is good nucleophile. That's why it is very easy to replace. You can use sodium also, no problem. So ultimately this is all about the reaction part. If you still face any problem in having the reaction for bigger one, whatever, then you can directly contact me, no problem. So this is the part 2 of halogen derivatives, in which we covered methods of preparation, physical properties and chemical properties. Basically reaction part, which students have a complaint that reactions are very difficult to understand. So before understanding the reaction, you need to understand the element, you need to understand the compound, their energies, their factors affecting, then you get it. So just watch that video which is present in the link, which is present in the description box. Rest, all the best. Thank you very much.